Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. So today I'm going to be showing you how I like to make blueberry scones, actually lemon blueberry scones. So I have all of my ingredients out. I'm going to try to remember the amounts that are in here, but I'm going to leave the recipe down below. I'm actually doing a double batch because I make a lot of scones. They are so good. The girls love these. So yeah, these are sourdough and it just takes discard. So this is actually a really good recipe if you're just learning how to do sourdough because you're not looking for that rise. You're not having to wait hours and hours. You'll see how long it takes to get together and then it bakes really fast. So in this bowl, I have 500 grams of flour. Now I am going to tell you, I'm going to use gram measurements here. If you are going to be doing any amount of baking, I highly suggest getting a scale. So scales, I think I paid like $15 for this scale at Target. Super simple. I didn't think I needed one. My cousin was like, girl, you need a scale. And so I was like, you know what? I think I got like a gift card for something at Target. And I was like, I'm going to buy myself a scale. Life changer. I love it. You don't have to dirty up a lot of dishes like measuring cups and don't have to look through everything to find your measuring cup. It's just all weight. So I like to do things by weight. Also, it's just more accurate. And in baking, you do have to be fairly accurate. So a scale is a good thing to have. So this is 500 grams of flour. To this, and you do have to go in this order, and I will show you why in just a moment. I have 200 grams of sugar. And so in here, I did do tablespoons with really small measurements. It's really hard to do grams. So this is 5 teaspoons of baking powder and a half teaspoon of salt. I'm doing pretty good with remembering the measurements. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use my hands and I'm going to just mix that up. Just get it all mixed. You could use a whisk if you wanted to. I just use my hands. Just get that nice and mixed in. Okay, next you are going to need cold butter. It does need to be cold. This is kind of like when you're making biscuits and you need to have cold butter for biscuits, and it just, the texture is going to be different. If you use like room temperature butter, you're not going to get the texture of the scone that you really want. And you're going to want to chop your butter up into these really small, I'm trying to show this camera, into really small pieces. And guys, this actually can be very therapeutic. This next step, it's kind of like kids in the kinetic sand. I know my daughter really loves kinetic sand. It's kind of that same idea because you're going to kind of like pinch the butter with your fingers. You can use a pastry, like a, I forget what they call them, like a pastry something. And it's actually made for cutting butter into flour. I don't like to have a lot of gadgets in the kitchen that can only be used for one thing. And so my hands work just fine for this. And like I said, it's therapeutic. And actually the warmth of your fingers is kind of going to soften the butter. So we're just going to get in here. And you'll see me, I'm going to just start squeezing the butter. Wherever you feel butter, just kind of like squeeze it in between your fingers. Sometimes I take longer doing this than I should just because I kind of get like lost in thought. And then I realize, I'm like, oh, I've already done all the butter. And now I'm just playing with the dough. So it's already getting softer in my fingers. So I really like doing these scones. I did these for my girls' school. I did for Teacher Appreciation Week. It was so fun. They decided to do like an around the world theme, and one of the destinations was England, and I was like, well, I can make scones. So I made scones for all of the teachers, which was like 40 something teachers, and I actually ended up doing them. You'll see a little bit later how I cut my scones. I like to make them big just because for me, when I'm eating a scone, it's kind of like my breakfast, and so I like really big scones. Like I doubled it, so I made them kind of mini scones. That way the teachers didn't have to pick just one flavor. They were able to try multiple ones. That was a big hit. But this is probably the most popular flavor that most people really like, is this lemon blueberry. We're almost there. Just got a few more big pieces. You're not going to want your pieces to be bigger than, let's say, like a dime. So you're going to want to just squish all those pieces until they're small. So to this, I'm going to add my blueberries. Now you have a few options here. You can use, if you're making these for yourself, you can use fresh blueberries, you can use frozen blueberries, or if you're going to be selling these, look at your state laws, but for us we have to use dry blueberries, but today I'm going to be using fresh. So here I have 2 cups of blueberries. Just put those right in. And just kind of mix those up so that they're covered in the flour. Try to like evenly distribute them. Okay, so next you are going to have your sourdough discard. This is 200 grams of sourdough discard. So this sourdough discard is just sourdough starter that is not active. So it's not bubbly. This is actually left over from my bakes yesterday. So I'll do that a lot. I'll make bread and then I'll just feed a little bit extra so that way the next day I have discard that I can use. So to this discard, you're gonna add 2 eggs. Again, this is a doubled recipe, so I'm doing 2 eggs. Actually, I forgot a fork, so I'm gonna have to go grab that. And then 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk, which I believe this recipe for some reason gave the measurements in tablespoons, but I think that's like about 60 grams of milk. So you're just gonna mix this all together. So I have my discard, my eggs, and my milk, and I am just going to make a little well in this flour mixture. I'm going to pour all of this in. Now, when it comes to mixing this, if you are using fresh blueberries, you kind of want to be a little bit gentle. You really don't want to be like squeezing it and everything, because you really don't want all of your blueberries to just turn into mush. So I usually just start out gently mixing with a spatula. And then once I feel like I kind of have gotten all of that, I'm going to use my hands. Your hands are sometimes your best tools when it comes to baking. So I really don't grab anything. I kind of just use my hand as a scoop. my phone was recording, but it ran out of space, of course. So you can't really see super well up close, but I'm really just reaching under, I'm scooping, and I'm just turning everything over to kind of incorporate everything. And then I will start to not smush it, but because you really don't want to like burst those blueberries. You want them to stay intact. This is going to be a very shaggy dough. It's not going to be like a batter. It's going to be like, I don't really know, even more shaggy than cookie dough. It's not even going to be quite like cookie dough. Scones are really fun because you can kind of just switch up your inclusions. Inclusions are just things that you would add into a dough. So you could do blueberries. You could do chocolate chip is one of my girls' favorites. And then you can also change it up by like your icing you put on top. So you could do a basic, I'll do that a lot. So I'll do like a basic chocolate chip with no icing or glaze on top. But then I'll do the same chocolate chip, but then I'll add a coffee glaze on top. So it's really fun. You can kind of come up with different combinations. One of my favorite scone that I make is a Earl Grey Lavender. And that has kind of opened me up to all kinds of ideas because you literally take Earl Grey tea in like the tea bags and you just dump that right into your dough. So it would be in place of like the blueberries or the chocolate chips. It's so good. And then the glaze is like a lavender glaze. Okay, I'm going to dump this out onto my surface. And I do have a little bit of flour left. I'm going to try to get that incorporated into the dough. So you can see it's pretty crumbly, it's pretty shaggy looking, and that is what we are looking for in a scone. All right, so this is a double recipe, so I'm going to, I think that's pretty good, I think. I did get a few smushed ones, but that's okay. I'm going to try to eyeball this and cut this dough in half. That looks about, oh, that one, I don't know. This is where having a scale also comes in handy. I could measure these out, but I think, I think I might do that. Sometimes our eyes are a little deceiving and we think something is in half and they're going to be even, and they are not. Right, so that's exactly 800 grams. Let's see this one. I think this one's going to be less. Yeah, this is 701, so I'm going to try to get up to like 750. And they don't have to be exact, but, try to get it as close as possible. That was one thing when I first started out with sourdough, and it came a lot of like sourdough sandwich breads and just a lot of recipes in general. It makes 2 loaves and not just one. And that was one thing I struggled with in the beginning when I didn't have a scale, is that my loaves would come out 2 very different sizes and have to be baked at different times because they weren't the same size. So scale is very handy. Okay, I'm gonna go get my baking sheets and I will show you how I shape these. I highly recommend getting these silicone baking sheets if you're gonna be doing a lot of baking. And I really, really like them. So you're just going to take your dough and you are going to make this into a circular, you're gonna kind of flatten it out. You kind of want it, I mean, it does not have to be perfect, obviously, but just try to keep it into a circular shape. This is how you're gonna create that very recognizable scone shape. So there we go, there's one. I'm gonna do the other one right next to it. Next, you're going to want to have I like to use a bench scraper. You can use a large knife if you want. I just find the bench scraper to be very handy. And you are going to cut straight down the middle. And then again the other way. So you're making like you're cutting it into fourths. I'm going to do that on both. A bench scraper is very handy for a lot of things when you're baking. Like in the name, you can scrape your table off. It works really, really well for that. Okay, then you're going to go and you're going to cut each of your sections in half. So this is going to make a total of 8 scones. And let me tell you, these things will last a really long time. I mean, we eat ours pretty quickly, so but when I've made like a really large amount, like when I made so many for the girls' school, I think I made over 200 scones. I had a lot left over, and we ate on those for like almost a week. So they last a really long time as long as you keep them in an airtight container. All right, so there we go. There is the scones all cut up. So I'm going to put this in a 400-degree oven for like 15 minutes, I believe. And then actually what I do is I will cook them for that amount, and then I will actually use my bench scraper to separate, because to me it doesn't cook all the way, especially where they are touching. So I will actually use my bench scraper to then separate them all, and I will line them up kind of like, you know, back and forth, back and forth. And I will put them back in for another like 5 to 10 minutes. That way they are all the way cooked through. All right, I have to go pick up my girls from school really quick, but then I will be back to show you how I make the icing. It is super, super simple. Okay, so now I'm back from getting the girls from school, so you will probably hear them in the background. Ivy is right here. And you're saying cheese, huh? You saying cheese? So you'll probably hear them running around asking me questions. But the icing is super easy to make. You need powdered sugar and lemon juice. That is it. I have no measurements because I kind of just wing it. I just pour in however amount of powdered sugar I feel like I need, and then I just put in some lemon juice. I like to start off with a little bit less lemon juice than I think I need. I start to stir, and then I add more if I need it, because you can always add more, you can never take away. So we're gonna make some lemon glaze. You gonna help me? Yeah? She just got out of school, so she's kind of tired. All right, I'm gonna put you down so I can make the glaze. So here is the powdered sugar. She's gonna go into a bowl. And again, yes, cheese. Again, I'm making a double batch, so I'm gonna make a little bit more glaze than a single batch would need. And add a little bit of lemon juice. Mix it together. Yes, honey. As you can see, I need more lemon juice. So add a little bit more. Just kind of mix it until it's smooth. Then you can choose the consistency that you like. You do want to I like to drizzle my glaze on top instead of like brush it on or anything else. So I kind of like it to be a little bit liquidy, so I'm able to just like slowly like go like that onto my scones. And that is it. That is my lemon glaze. Super simple. So my stove is heating up. While it's heating, you actually are going to want to put your scones into the fridge. I actually already had my stove on because I was making cinnamon rolls earlier, so it wasn't going to be in the fridge as long, so I went ahead and just put them in my freezer really quick. It's just going to be like 5 minutes while the stove heats up. Then I'm going to put my scones into the oven for about 15 minutes. The time is 20 to 25 minutes, but like I said, it doesn't cook all the way, especially where on the sides where they're all kind of touching. So I'm going to do about 15 minutes, then I'm going to separate them, and then I'm going to put it in for another 5 to 8 minutes. And then once they come out, I'm going to let them cool just a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and top them with this glaze. They are so good, so good. The girls love them. Everybody I've made them for, everyone loves them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys make it and how your family enjoyed them. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!